Oh, let's
And
do it.
and here we are to talk about relationship moving on
Moving
from
on.
relationships. What's up, everybody? Chase and Shep here with another exciting and excellent Mental Health Monday.
Most
And
likely.
yeah, I'm coming off of a very lit evening last night. Pretty tired today.
As am I.
Yeah, he was there
Yeah, I
last
was
night.
there.
Yeah,
I was there. I didn't do as much hopping around as you, but pretty fair amount of, you know, moving about.
I don't feel like I moved around as much as I wanted to.
Yeah. So
I
it's a good thing we're having this preemptive conversation today because I feel like I'm on one going into this episode. So I feel like we need to come down from that
oh
before getting into the today's topics. Yeah,
yeah.
the show was great. The
The
show was
show was
great.
great. It was fantastic. A lot of great performers last night. Shout outs to Liu Kang and DJ
Ski Whip, DJ Fat
DJ Fat
Mac,
Mac coming in from out
Tommy
of town.
G,
Yeah, and
Joe Pesci,
all the locals holding it down. The Leftover Collective
mhm,
boys,
the Delinquents
the delinquents
stopped
showed
by.
up, and
Mhm.
that was pretty dope. That was a pretty dope moment. So a lot of special shit went down last night. If you want to ever be a part of that, you can
You
next
can.
month. Actually, we've got another one going down. There's another one,
That's right. An important one.
an
That's
important
that's the
one.
one we need. Everybody, all hands on deck.
All
March
hands,
27th.
all your votes, every vote, it'll count. I don't know. I
I
was
I love you so much, Shep, that I'm missing the Oscars for this.
The
So
Oscars are that night.
yeah, the same night, and
Wow.
that's like that's my night. So I'm giving
If
that to you this
if
year.
we go on early, the whole shtick. Okay, so I got an email. The whole shtick of this is I don't know if it's spoilers. If it is, my bad. But they're gonna draw names randomly, like out of the
Mhm.
groups, like the week prior. They're gonna go live on Facebook. They're gonna draw names, and that's gonna decide the sets. Of course, I won't be able to vote since I'm performing. But like Chase, you will. So yeah, it'll be like that. It'll be random. You show up, you vote. I don't think, I the one we did years ago, you didn't have to per se show up like while I was performing to vote for me, but as long as you showed up, paid a ticket, you got to vote. And I guess I could probably buy a ticket and vote myself. That'd be a little dirty. But we will be hitting the campaign trail hard over the next month. So join us. It should be pretty
Mhm.
fun, pretty exciting. Uh,
Absolutely.
got some nice ideas for
Bring
this one.
bring summer camp to summer camp this
Mm,
year.
and that's exactly right. You guys were on hand to see what happened last summer, and it was not that. I mean,
Not
I
that
thought
random.
I had a fun time. I
Right. Well,
think Chase
we
had a
walked
fun
away
time.
pretty unscathed.
I'm pretty sure our friend Sean had a pretty fun time, but the rest of the people, I can't really per se put anything to their names right now for that. So Team Sean for life, though. So help us. I know he'd love it.
Oh yeah.
We'd all love it. It might help.
In remembrance for those who died at Camp Chase and Shep in the year 2021, let us go perform at the Summer Camp Festival this year. And they're
Correct.
in remembrance.
In remembrance, and then maybe in 2023, summer camp stuff might be cool.
Pop off
Then
again. Who knows? Who knows? Who
I don't
knows?
know. Just we will
We
make sure
know.
not to bring the book this time or wander off into the woods.
That's right.
Uh, but yes, Mental Health Monday. Let's get
Mental
back.
Health Monday.
Let's get back on track. We
We're
started
back.
a few minutes late tonight, folks. It's all good. Again, we got a case of the sleepies and Mondays. I guess
Mhm.
really, we got a case of the Mondays today.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll for those of you that did not get the chance to make it out last night, we'll have a little bit of that for you guys to see. Hopefully within a week or so.
Yeah,
So
it should be dope.
should be a good time. Today we're talking about
Moving
moving
on.
on.
We already said this earlier. Moving on. It's a part of relationships. They also, there's a nice quote I like, or not. I guess not really.
Static. Ooh, even worse.
See, now you said something. I don't want to pop people's fucking
Mental Health Monday shit show edition is what this one is. A little rough go, it happens. Like we said, we're like
Better?
running much better. There we go.
Maybe I need to go grab a White Claw real quick, and we can just really get this Monday started off on the right foot.
God.
I think I had too many last night, so I'm
In
good.
this month of love.
But
Nasty.
yes, moving on. Like I said, I don't think this is really a quote. But something really to keep in mind with relationships is it's just important how you end one as how you go into one.
Mm-hmm.
That shows a lot
Mm-hmm.
about character and who you are. Just based on, and don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, I have very train wrecked ended plenty.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We've all had
in,
our
in my
nasty
time.
ones, but the point is they don't all have to be nasty
Oh
ones.
yeah.
They don't all have to be nasty. They don't all have to be knockout, drag out, fucking ghost people, phantom into the ether, never speak again. Like,
I ghosted a girl without even knowing it was ghosting. This was a time that ghosting wasn't a term
didn't
for
even know
that.
that. Yeah.
Because this was like when I was 15.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I had a girl that was like my girlfriend when I was like 15, and I remember hanging out. And this is gonna make me sound weak, but whatever. I'm in my 30s now. It doesn't matter what Aaron was doing at 15. I'm a totally different person. But she was steps above where I wanted to be at that time. You know what I'm saying? And she
Mhm.
was wanting to do some shit relationship wise that I was like, yeah, that's cool, but so like I just kind of stopped. I avoided her and just just stopped talking. And it's kind of hard to do at school, but she moved on pretty quick. And yeah.
Yeah.
So that was ghosting. I feel like that is ghosting to its fullest extent right there. You just nope, I'm not. There's no cell phones, so it was all face to face. You just ran the opposite direction.
Moving on is interesting to me because Phil and I were talking recently about something that really piqued my interest. I really started questioning myself on this, and I still don't think I have an answer to this just yet. But I was wondering, like, why do I think about some exes more than others? Why do some of them kind of still haunt me to this day, or maybe not haunt. Haunt is a negative connotation, but are just present still in my mind to this day. Like, there's still such prominent thoughts, whereas there are some that I hardly think about. And because it's easy to be like, oh well, this person, you love this person more than this person or what have you, but these are people. I was thinking of some of them that I haven't thought of in a long time, and these are people who were very important to me at the time, and we did have a good thing, and like, no matter how it ended, it's just like time took over, and it's like we haven't spoken all that time, and it just kind of faded away uh after all that time, I suppose. But there are some that just are as prominent today as if they happened just yesterday, and it's like, why who why are the people that we can't get rid of so hard to get rid of in our minds?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really like on a day to day. I don't sit around like I don't have thoughts on any of my past. I don't know anybody, friendships, relationships, anything like that. It's when I want to, when I say when I want
Mhm.
to sit down and think about them, and I can remember all of them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. And that's
They're
what got us started on this conversation recently.
yeah.
Was like somebody popped into mind that was like, oh yeah, and like we were kind of thinking fondly on them. It's like, oh yes, that's right. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but like, yeah, no, I mean, like that's how it is to me. Like, I don't know. Once that's my whole process of moving on, life and everything in
Mhm.
general. Is just once that sun is set, that day's done, that's complete. We're gonna focus on the next one and move forward and do what we can. And I don't know, maybe having that sort of a mindset for so long causes you not to carry on the people from the past or think about them all the time. Obviously, like once you get out of a relationship, you think, I feel like you think about that person, and you
Mhm.
still do, and whatnot. And yeah, weird times too, you know what I'm saying? Like some weird shit,
Mhm.
and you'll be like, oh damn, me and so and so used to vibe with that shit hard, and damn. The,
I think.
the the thing that gets me is like the whole there's like, there's very few people that I've dated that I could still be like, we had that joke last night at the concert where I was like, oh, my whole set, 20 minutes, I'm just gonna put my speakerphone on and call my ex-girlfriend. It's still gonna be a comedy set tonight. But then I was just like, there's not a lot of them that like right now someone held a gun to my head and was like, you got to call one of your exes and they got to actually answer the phone when you call, that I could confidently be like, oh, let me call this person up right now and they'll answer.
Right.
That's weird to me. Is you had a connection with somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And then at some point down the road in life, they're just they might as well be non-existent no more.
Hmm.
They're just
Well, and that's what I was getting ready to say is the more I'm sitting here thinking about this and talking about this out loud, I really think that that main ingredient for the people who do kind of fade away in the mind is time. A lot of these people that like in question that I don't remember as well, not remember, but like think about so often are ones that I don't speak to. Like I have not talked to, I have not seen in a long time, to where if I have a fond memory of them, it can just be that and it's over, because it's like this isn't a person in my life. It's
oh
not somebody I
yeah,
have their contact, so it's easy for me to do that. And there these are people from the past, but then there's also like, my last ex. That was a couple years ago now, but like I've always said the best thing she ever did was steal my breakup away from me and be like, yeah, actually, we're not going to talk anymore. It's like, well, if we're not going to try to get back together, then we just ain't going to be friends. And then she just cut off that communication. And at first, I was like, oh, what the fuck, Best thing that ever happened to me, especially when being around so many of our homies that, male or female, that just can't get off that fucking hamster wheel with somebody who's like constantly on that leash with somebody. Um,
yeah,
and I think there's different levels to it too, for
most
sure.
likely.
Like, as far as like that letting go and moving on, I think there's different ways to do it, because sometimes there are those people that, as we talked about before, you gotta just close the door. You gotta ghost. You do have to cut ties with.
You do. No, like, and that's what I mean, that's pretty much what I do when relationships end. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't think that that's a bad thing to have to be like, like I'm gonna go ahead and we got to unfriend each other on this and that. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Because that is a lot. I always looked at time heals all wound as
Mhm.
time will make you forget, pretty
and it
much.
and it matures you mature over time. You go through new experiences, you learn new things, and depending on the path you took, like we've discussed before, that I have an ex that like I feel like time has made her and I mature over the years and change over the years in our own ways, and that has been able to help us deal with so much, from our past and everything, and maintain a good relationship. And that's one of those things where, even though she's somebody who I think about often, I think about her fondly with love, but I'm not, I don't know, it doesn't run my life as much as other people like to think it does. I have moved on from it in a lot of senses. In a lot of senses, I've moved on from this relationship in ways that, I felt like I never was going to move on from at first. I was
Nah,
like,
yeah.
damn, like I think, these things are going to stick with me forever. And no, like I've said before, you started the show out with the quote about, ending a relationship is, gently as you start one. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, for
Well,
sure.
and those are the people that, like I said, when I was like, there's not a few, a lot of people that I could bank on. Those are the people that I could bank on. The ones
Mhm,
that has happened with, because you can, if you do some situation, and you know what I'm saying, like I get how things play out in life and things happen, and a lot of time there is that emotion, that
mhm,
shock, when somebody, two people first break up, or you end a friendship with somebody, or even then, a lot of, when people get news, there's emotion, there's shock, and a lot of that plays on that. But yeah, I
mhm,
think that once you can get to that mature spot where you sit down and you can really understand, you can understand that that's what that happened with that person, and then they
mhm,
can understand where you were at and why you made the choices you made and all that stuff, then you
mhm.
you you do go about it, as gracefully as you went into it,
Yeah.
getting to know somebody, getting to understand somebody. That's
Mhm,
exactly what you do at the
mhm,
beginning of a relationship. You do it at the end, and then it's not like, to me, it's like I don't want to be like besties. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right, yeah,
I don't want
right.
you to hit me up when your next relationship's going bad and you need advice or something like that, unless we, have a relationship as friends that grow into that. But like,
Mhm,
I just, no animosity, no
yeah,
hate. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I don't want it to be
Something that
weird.
fresh, something like that's not good. Like, if it's something fresh and then, like, they want that support, Christine and I were actually having a conversation about this the other day, um,
Oh yeah, no.
re Huh?
I said, oh yeah, no. Like if I just broke up with somebody and then they was hitting me up being like, yo, this.
Well, Christine brought up a great question to me about, um therapists and like counselors and stuff that are in relationships, and when they go through a breakup, as they are a therapist or what have you, they are equipped to help the other person deal with those things. But is that the person that should be helping them,
Oh
even if
no.
they're completely removing themselves and just trying to come from a professional angle? And no, not at all. Like, absolutely, I know that I'm capable of having these kinds of conversations with people and stuff, but like when things are very fresh, I get to a point where I'm like, I'm not talking about this anymore because we're going nowhere. We are going to fucking have this conversation over and over and over and over again. And I know from an analytical standpoint that, like, if we just fuck off right now and come back to this at a different
It's
point in time of
fucking,
life, the results will be far different. You
yeah.
know, and it's like, I don't know.
Well, and it can be, and like I said, to me, I don't know, man. Like I said, the people of the past, and when I process and I move on, it's and it is a process. I do my own thing and I get it done, and then I'm cool. But it's like, I don't know. I don't. Of course, like to me, it's always like your most recent relationship. Yeah, you probably be thinking about that all the time or something like
Mhm.
that. But like
But
to me,
that's what I'm
to,
saying.
to me
With the
the one,
most.
but that's just because it's recent. But to me, like the
Mhm,
ones from the past and me has always been like inside jokes about that with friends. Like that's when it kind of like gets brought up to me.
mhm,
Or like or you see like an old Facebook shit you got tagged on
mhm,
years ago and you're like, "Oh, like oh that's cool." Like
yeah.
8 years ago I was dating that person that didn't work out. Like that well, but
Well,
like
like, I know one example I have of moving on from a relationship is, when I was living in Tennessee and I was in a relationship that just was not good for me at all. And when that came to an end, like, moving on from then has been difficult because it's exactly what we're talking about ending a relationship as gently as you started one. And ironically enough, I feel like this ended as roughly as it began. Like, I feel like this relationship started with all the same problems that I got spit out the other end with. Like, it was a lot of animosity and just hate and anger and just all these negative feelings. And it wasn't between myself and the girl I was dating. A large part of it had to do with her family and like their input on everything, and like, just not trying to get to know me and all this other shit. All these different things, right? But like the way it ended, I did just have to ghost. I just had to make a decision and stick to it in that moment. So I literally left, went home, packed up all my shit, and made it look like I moved the fuck out in that moment, and I went and stayed at a homie's house down the road. All my shit was in the attic or in my car. Like, I didn't actually move everything out, but I'm like, I need them to know how serious I am about this because otherwise I'm going to be stuck here forever. And it's one of those things that in the moment, I know why I did it. I know why I had to do it, to get myself out of a situation that I otherwise would not have had the courage a second time to do. I had to take that moment to fucking get myself out. But then after that, just because of the kind of person that I am, at the end of the day, though I'd like to have conversations with, like, I was close with her sister and stuff, I'd like to have a conversation there. But like, I'd love to have a conversation with her just because of how things left off. And I felt like that was such a shit way to end a relationship. And that's a lot of guilt on my end. So as far as moving on, that relationship is long gone and past. And we have not talked in all that time. So I think anytime it does come to mind, it's because of guilt I feel about how it ended, the way it ended, especially as I've grown as a person over the years, and think I would handle this situation differently now. Or if I had known this information then, we probably wouldn't have even gotten to that point.
Right.
But it is what it is. And at the end of the day, when you're moving on, you kind of have to do it from within. You got to do it with yourself. You're going to have to
It is,
sometimes
yeah.
accept that sometimes, even though like I've been in the rare opportunity to get closure with an ex before, but that's exactly what I just said. It's a rare opportunity. That does not come along often. And sometimes when it does, it doesn't come along as healthfully like as it did, for me. Uh,
I use a wrestling term. I put up a forbidden door. Sometimes people
yeah,
slide through the forbidden door. You know what I'm saying? It
yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah.
It happens. They come
Yeah.
back. But most of the time they don't. But no, yeah, like
Mhm.
the process of moving on has always got to be for you.
You gotta
And
you gotta forgive yourself, and that was my big thing with that situation. Is like, see, since then I've had to forgive myself and let myself know there's nothing you can do, bud. The relationship ended years ago. There ain't no going back. It's over.
that and a lot of the shit, as much as somebody might say to you, or it's on a lot of this is on people themselves when dealing with stuff. It's not always negative when you're saying that, but like
Mhm,
not being ready,
mhm,
jumping into things too quick,
mhm,
the realization hitting, all these kind of things. Especially, like I had a bad spiel with like, you know, and I've ghosted people too, but getting ghosted for a while back years ago, and it was one of those things that's like, don't even look at it towards yourself. Like it ain't, this isn't like it ain't me that did something wrong that made this person like just stop wanting to, it's like that
mhm,
they're doing something on their end that they're going through on their own, probably not handling the best of ways, obviously.
mhm.
But if you start looking at it from yourself, that's it's a process over time. You the shit happens, and you be able to look at it from an outside point of view, like, well, damn, I was vibing, but I guess they wasn't. Okay, well,
Mhm.
this opens up the door for me to fucking film a summer camp show now.
Right, yeah, that's
Yeah,
kinda well, and,
like
let's, like, with a current situation and just saying that, like, in all honesty, I just don't feel very interested in dating at the moment, like in general, like the idea of it, for going as long as I have in life being this fucking, hopeless romantic and everything. And love, and still to this day I love love more than anything. It's such a fantastic feeling, and it's something that I look forward to finding again. But I'm so uninterested in like the chase of it all. You know what I mean? Like the glamour of it all. When we were at the show last night, there were a few moments last night where there were girls, chatting to us here or there, whatever. And I just did not give a shit, dude. I just did not care because I'm like, I'm here with the boys. We got a show going. I'm filming. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. It's lit. We out here. And it's just like it was honestly it was a great feeling to have, to be like, I'm not concerned about walking out of here with a girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like I'm here to have a good time.
I
This is
was more concerned whether they were agreeing that I should go make some rat beef go down. The
you.
ones that I was around, I was on that one. I was
Oh,
like,
you
I
were
mean,
too. I was telling Phil all about that when I got
like
home.
we create some buzz, we create pop right now, and I think Monday would have started off a little bit more lit had we done that. But we'll save it. We'll let everybody speculate on that one because
If anything, we'll just say it on our own show. We'll just start the beef here and
no,
let it.
I don't know if we could chase the ship. We could handle that, but Mother boys, we could all have handled. But anyway, yeah, no, it is a great feeling, man, and it's one of those. I don't know, man. That's when they always say, like, "Oh, that's when you'll find it." That's when you'll
Mhm.
find that relationship
Right,
when you're
when you're
not
not
looking
looking.
for one,
Yeah.
and you're just concerned. Like my last relationship, that's how that went down. Like I wasn't
Mhm.
looking for one at all. Like we had a bunch of shit going on. I had a bunch of shit going on,
Yeah.
and then it just it happens. Like, and I had a conversation a couple months ago with my mom about it, because she's like, aren't you worried? Don't you listen up, brother? Slaps it. Hey, a bunch of meaty man slapping meat. I love it. Uh, but I had a conversation with mom, and she was like, aren't you worried? Like, you're just single in your mid-30s and this and that. And I'm like, no. And, like we were talking about it. And, I told her, she's like, well, you were just, dating. And I was like, well, yeah, but like, that was like one person I met. She wasn't trying to date nobody neither, and I wasn't really trying to meet, do that. And we just
Mhm,
vibed. And I was like, we clicked. And I'm like, unless it happens like that kind of shit. And for me, like, it's just one of those things that we can be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like we can, because I'm different too. Like we had that conversation last week.
mhm,
Where I'm different now with my approach and my way, because my past has been fucked up when it's come to relationships. I gotta, I don't put those walls up.
mhm.
Like we were talking last week, I don't put
Right,
my
right.
walls up, but I did set my boundaries and what I'm good with and comfortable. And like, oh, I'm gonna be friends with somebody before I ever jump into a relationship with them. And when I say, well, I'm gonna be friends with you, like,
Mhm.
that has mean friend.
Yeah, that's something I've thought a lot about since our episode last week. Is what Christine was saying about that, and I don't know if I have it within myself, who I am as a person, to wait as long as she does to get to know somebody. But I agree. I agree on, like, you do want to see a person in different environments and see how they react in different situations. um, because I mean, I feel like that tells a lot. I've had several people that I've dated that it's not until like the breakup happens that you see this whole other side of them, that you're like, holy hell and a half, I dodged a bullet. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I had no idea this existed within you. I'm so glad I've made this decision to get out of this relationship.
Or you see that side, and that's when the breakup goes down.
Right? Yeah.
I've had that happen. Well, I mean, I guess I can't really say that because there was warning signs. There was plenty of warning
I was
signs.
gonna say usually there are.
But when the inevitable breakups happen, I
Yeah.
mean, they
Those,
happen, and I've had them all. Like I've had some wild breakups. We can get in. We never did the Shep's Love Shack or
we will.
whatever.
We will. We got it scheduled for the for something else in the future.
But like we never get. I've had breakups, man. Like I literally. let's go over some of my top favorite breakups I've had
top
to go through.
top five breakups. Top five favorite breakups.
So one of my favorites was we've already apologized to the exes at the beginning of the month.
That's a fact. I bet if Phil was watching, he'd say the same thing to me.
Pretty much, yeah. Pudgy's been on point with a lot over the years.
I've only been around a few times listening to Pudgy give advice to you, and it's like, God, it's really like watching
He's
the
and
same
even
shit
but
over again.
like he's an inspiration on like any like this whole conversation we've been talking about
Mhm,
today of even just like you should be as graceful going into a relationship as leaving a relationship. He has never been the type that's been that like I'm gonna go do sneak disses or go be all depressed on social medias or anything. He handles fucking everything. uh he handles everything so fucking well, and it's like, god damn, bro, like I strive, and I feel like I'm getting there where he's been, you know what I'm saying? But he's always like, he's that for me of being
Oh
like.
yeah.
But anyway, getting into these fun breakups. Had a girl, we planned this nice trip. She had a little kid at the time. We planned this nice trip going to the zoo down in St. Louis.
Mhm,
Beautiful little trip here. We get down there. It's packed. It was like right after, it was probably like March, April, you know, everybody's trying to get out. Nice day. So she got the big old rented stroller, throwing her purse, all the shit up in it, right?
mhm,
And then she's grabbing her kid, taking it out, trying to go up to the front to see like these zoo animals. And I'm looking at all of our shit in this fucking stroller, like, well, I'm not just gonna leave it here in the fucking back, and I can't push it up front, so I'll just stand by the stroller, whatever. So I just stood by the stroller. Halfway through the day, she was not having that. She's like, listen, she's like, who's supposed to take photos of me and my, like, I want somebody to take photos of me and my daughter. Like, why don't you want to see any of these animals? I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna be straight up with you. I've seen these animals fucking 1,000 times in my life. Like, you think I ain't
You've
seen a giraffe before?
been
Like,
you've been to one zoo, you've been to
yeah,
them
I'm like,
all.
this is literally about your kid right now. Like, and it's like, I was like, we're not, we can't leave all the money and shit back here and like walk away from it with how many people are in here. Like, that's not smart. And like, I'm like, oh, maybe you can ask somebody beside you. Like, hey, take a photo. I was like, that's literally what I've had to do my entire life being a dude by myself. I've had to be like, hey, could you take
Hey,
a
can you
photo
take
of
this
me?
photo of me?
What if I wanted to be in the photo? Wouldn't we have to do the same fucking thing? Whatever. So I feel like we were in they were like debuting like an underwater like penguins thing. That's where the meltdown happened. This lady, I'm telling you, man, she lost her shit on me, and she was like, we're going home," and I'll never forget. This is, and it was at the complete back of the zoo. So we had to walk from the back of the zoo all the way to the front of the zoo. And she was cussing me out. She was crying. She was yelling. She had her kid and she was like walking. So I was like, she was doing that that mad power walk too. And so I was with the stroller going back, and people just kept looking at me. And I was like, I guess I didn't handle this one too well. And then, yeah, very, very awkward trip back home from St. Louis. That's about a 3-hour drive with somebody and I'm stubborn. Okay, I'm a Taurus. I'm stubborn. So when she's like, "We're going back home," I'm like, you know what? Because we had a hotel, and I was like, you know what? We are going back home, baby. And I drove us all the way back home, and then we broke up at that. Yeah,
Oh, I'm sure.
she instantly left at that point, and we were done ski, and I have not not talking to her since. That was one I felt warranted that though, because I was just like, holy fuck, that was a lot. Now one of my worst handled breakups, or immature one too, was like my first relationship I've ever been in, and literally dead ass. Obviously, this was before you grow and you mature. I know now at 35, Aaron just wasn't feeling it. You know what I'm saying? I knew it wasn't, we were two totally opposite personalities and stuff. It's senior year of high school, you just dating. You're based purely off look, I feel, and status. You know what I'm saying?
For
Like,
sure.
yeah. And so like I just was like, oh, you're going to college in the big college city. I felt like, and I eventually told her that. I was like, I just felt like when you were going to go to college, we'd break up anyway. But like me breaking up with her was, oh man, it was like I wanted to go hang out with my buddies. And that's all I ever wanted to go do, because I was straight up about being like, I'm 18, I want to go party, I want to go hang out with my buddies, I want to go do my thing.
Mhm.
And so like I called my friend Eric Jones up, and I was like, yo, Eric, what do you do? And he's like, man, I'm hanging out with these people I really don't like. If you get over here really quick, I don't have to go with them. Like, get over here. And I was like, bet, I'll be there. So I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm like, let's get in the car. Let's go. And she just was taking her sweet ass fucking time. And like, we're hanging out with your friends again. Why do we always hang? And I'm like, come on, let's go. And finally, like, I called Eric and I'm like, yo, dude, we're on our way. And he's like, I just left my house. And I was like, did you for real? And he's like, yeah. And I hung up from him, and then we were sitting in my car in my driveway, and I was just like, we got to break up. Like, we're done. And then she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we got to break up. Like, this is not happening no more. I was like, I really wanted to go hang out with Eric Jones, and you just ruined it. And I dead ass broke up with this girl because I wanted to hang out with my friends, and she made it so that evening I could not. Now I could have hung out with them plenty the next day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
She started crying. I'll never. I was such an asshole.
Yeah, that's.
She was crying, and because I was like, yo, like,
Sometimes I don't even know how to go.
I was like, you can stay here and cry, because I was like, well, you gonna go? And she's like, I can't drive when I'm crying. And I was like, well, I'm not crying, so you can stay here and cry, but I'm gonna go. And I left, and I went and hung out with some other friends. But like I said, that was one of those immature. You got to learn and you got to grow as you grow
Yeah.
up, and that was an immature thing that I did, and I've apologized way, like, probably 15 16 fucking years ago for that, and was like, I just didn't see us being a thing. And I believe, and it was funny because I believe I was like, listen, you're gonna go be something big and fancy. I'm probably gonna like live in a fucking trailer, have some shitty ass tattoos, and have a couple kids here in a couple years. So like, and we just ain't that.
Right.
And as karma would have it, was sitting on my shoulder like, bet. She did, like, the one time that we did like talk. She was off in college. She was engaged to a doctor. Uh, when she hit me up, I was living with my son's mom. I believe
Mhm.
about to get married to her. I had a step kid. We lived in a trailer. I don't know if you guys haven't really noticed these. I was like, damn, karma really was like, bet that is exactly what is going to
That's
happen, my
exactly
man.
how this is gonna go down.
So I was like, I hate to say I was right, but I was right. But no, like I said, that
Yeah.
was one of those things dumb, but you know,
I feel like high school is definitely like one of those times where the whole the whole period of my life, I just feel like uh, I don't know. It's like I feel like shit like that needs to be taught at home. I suppose is like and how to handle situations like this. And I just feel like as kids, we're really not given the tools to succeed in relationships sometimes. Like, and so
no,
we become very,
no.
and we're kids, we're immature, And I mean, I know one that definitely goes on my top five, worst breakups on my end. Um, was I had somebody else do it over text message. Like I didn't even do it over text message. I had somebody else do it over text message in high school. Like, somebody else let my girlfriend know that that shit was Dunsky. I had my people contact her people, and then we were done. But
That's,
that was
hey.
shitty. That was shitty. But
I mean, fuck it, dude.
and then
It is what it is. There.
yeah, and then like as well, like the person who I claim to love so much, even to this day, we broke up a billion and a half times. I think we broke up and got back together more than any relationship I was ever in.
That's what I'm saying. That
Um,
forbidden door. Sometimes they can come back through that forbidden door.
but it was one of those things that the reason we broke up all those times was because we didn't know how to communicate. Like we were completely because we were still kids at the time, more or less. We were 19, 20 years old, whatever. Um, and we hadn't even begun to go through life yet. So like, if shit started going south and we weren't happy with each other, fuck it, we'd break up. All right, fuck it,
I've been in
kick
those
rocks.
relationships. I've been.
And it's like we're fresh, into the world. It was one of the first like very serious relationships I had like post high school too, and like it definitely one of those that we've talked about it. It's like in hindsight, like if we knew how to communicate, that's where that would factor in, is all those moments where it's like, well, fuck it, get out, we're breaking up, and us taking turns doing that back
We
and
on
forth.
today? We off. We're off. All
those,
right.
those are the moments where it's like we needed to sit down and have a chat and be like, oh, okay, well, this is pissing me off, and instead of us hitting the dusty trail, why don't we talk it through, because we're gonna do that anyways at some point. So instead of just fucking breaking it off every single time we have a fight, maybe we talk about things. And so like I said, we were very young, and went through a lot at that time to begin with, but then like we've gone through a lot since, and we've become a lot closer. And it is one of those things that we can't change what we did then. I mean, but we can learn from it, and that's why we have better communication today.
Exactly. It's great to get to that point when the bridge is. I don't know. Me and Pudgy were kind of talking about that on the way home a little bit last night. We were a little like but yeah, we. I don't know, man, because it's weird. There's people from my past that I feel like it'd be cool to at least just bullshit with, but at the same, but it's like I don't know, bro. Like, how do you go about? Do you wait for people to reach out to you, or like if I'm the one that burned that bridge, should I be the one to reach out to them? That's a big one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like, because there's people that I feel like had burnt the bridge with me. You know what I'm saying? And I
Mm-hmm.
definitely feel like no hate, nothing, no animosity, but I won't reach out to you. But if you want to
Right.
reach out to me, okay, whatever, that's cool. But there are people that I know that I have for sure I have slammed that forbidden door on. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And is
Right.
it up to me to be the one to swallow the pride per se and come back and say, hey,
I Another great quote is, "It might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility." I read that once and I was like, "Oh shit, that's a good one." Like just because you didn't start the situation doesn't mean it's not your responsibility to handle the situation you're now in.
Uncle Ben
And
say that one?
Uncle Ben, with great power. Well, Peter, you're here now, so
But I mean, like, I don't know, man. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. And like breaking open these things, it's funny to talk about. Like, see, I don't I don't think about relationships that like I think about the people that like I briefly like talked to for a while and then they just
Mhm.
like was gone. And like the people that I talked to, like when I was like fucking 14 on fucking like Yahoo Messenger, like whatever happened to that person? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
where,
yeah, yeah.
whatever happened to her? She's got to be like in her 40s now. I lied and probably said
Right,
I was
yeah.
like 16 at the time. You know how we used to do it back then. But like maybe she was lying too.
The
You
kids
know,
today have no idea what you're talking about. Just like those kids last night had no fucking idea who Bone Thugs and Harmony were.
everybody, okay, it's the thuggish ruggish bone, and we know DMs back in the day were just chat windows, man. Okay, that's how you sell the kids, and they're like, oh, yeah. That's all it was. All right, you had a chat room, which was like Facebook, but not as cool. And then if you wanted to holler at somebody, you slid into those DMs, but it was called a private message, a PM.
See, somebody just got off who was watching there. He said, "You lost me. You lost me with this archaic
It
nonsense."
brought up bad memories. They were probably like, "Fuck, he
They were
called me out. I've been following
they
her
were
and
like,
Shepard his whole
"I
life."
I should call her." They still.
But for real though, there
You know what?
was
This
there
guy's
was
got a point. I should
there
call her.
was people. There were friends I had, man. You know what I'm saying? And those are the ones
Mhm.
that get me. Were never the people that like. It was always the people that like you develop like a friendship with,
Mhm.
and then they're just
Oh
gone.
yeah, no, I feel that.
And
Yeah,
then they're just gone one day, and you're like,
that's always
okay.
strange
You're
for
like, that's
sure.
cool. It's cool, you son of a bitch. That's fine. But whatever. Like,
That's like, somebody for me, again, one of those people that like I don't think about all the time, like, but when she does come to mind, I'm like, oh yeah, like, those are good times. It's somebody that like technically speaking, she was my first love. I feel like, like I feel like I don't give her the credit for being like, like Columbus discovered America, but they're like, I feel like he's second place, but we'll give it to him, sort of thing. Where it's like there's another girl who gets it's like, well, that's the first time I ever was like, no, I'm in love with somebody. But definitely feel like she was the precursor to this. And it was like early on in like junior high or whatever. And so like we dated on and off and stuff, but like by the time high school was over and everything, we were just friends. And we had been good friends, we'd been best friends, growing up through school and stuff. And after it was around like 2015 era when shit was really starting to get rocky for me. She and I were talking around that time, and she had like some shit going on in her life, and then she just fucking vanished off the face of the earth. And that was one of those things that like that kind of fucked with me. That like stuck with me because nothing ever happened. There was no warning sign. There was no like conversation where it's like, damn, like it makes a lot of sense why that person never talked to me again. Like, no, it was like, yo, you're graduating tomorrow. Like, congratulations. Like, we've just been talking about all this shit. We've been talking, like, and then all of a sudden it's just like she graduated college, and I never heard from her ever again. That day I told her happy graduation, never heard from her again, and I could not tell you why. Well, I think I could, but it's probably it's probably
grim.
personal on their end. I feel like I know why, but it has nothing to do with me, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like I think things in her own life, she was like, I got to move forward and leave this part of life behind me. I
I
feel
see.
like.
My head always goes to grim spots. I just feel like they died. I'm like, well, they probably died.
See, I know she didn't die was the thing. Like I knew she was alive, so that
Right?
my,
Yeah.
my mind didn't go there.
That's a little
But
different. Yes. Yes.
yeah,
I mean,
sometimes
I'm
I've
talking to
had
you.
that.
I'm talking my Yahoo Messenger friends. I just
Oh,
assumed
they're dead, bro. I'm
they
sorry.
probably died.
They're probably dead.
Those are what a grim way to end the mental health Monday in the last 20 minutes. Me and some friends did have that conversation where it's like, you ever wonder what happened to those kids like you were in kindergarten with and they moved away and stuff? If you look them up on Facebook and they don't have a profile,
They're dead.
it's probably safe to assume they probably passed away at some point.
Yeah.
Didn't get around to
Or
doing that. It's like, ah, shit. It's such a bad thought to have too, though,
it's
man. But
probably
like,
not safe to like because I'm not on any of that shit.
well,
Like
I know, but like, it's all,
people.
but it's kind of almost like like if you popped up somewhere, the people ain't said that, but oh, Chase, damn, I didn't know you were still around.
Well, I literally just had that talk with somebody today regarding
AKA dead.
my.
I thought you were dead. And I had somebody tell that was like one of the only grudges I did personal hold. I had somebody tell me when I moved away from my hometown and
Uh-huh.
came back one weekend at a football game. I had somebody that I was friends with beforehand.
Mhm.
She came up to me and she's like, "Oh, I thought you died. I didn't know you moved. I just thought you died." And I was like, You didn't have to say that, but that's cool.
Well, I literally just said, like, in my hometown, like, I really don't linger. I got the fuck out right after high school, and like I got two younger sisters who grew up there and everything. And like, especially with like my youngest sister's class, who, like, at least I was in high school with my other sisters, so they know I exist. But my youngest sister, like, some of like her friends and family, like, if it wasn't for the pictures up in our family's house, they'd have no fucking idea I exist. You know what I mean? Like, and when I do, they're like, "Who's the dude in your house? Like the big burly man that's just like chilling here
It's my
on your
brother.
couch, eating your Cheetos, doing laundry." you know,
I moved in.
it's like, oh, it's me.
It's. I don't know, man.
But
It's
I
great.
prefer my life that way. I like the life of anonymity, really, and I think about that often when we pursue the career that we pursue. Sometimes, where it's like, how well am I going to be able to like keep that? Because I saw some video of, like, it was Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire, all separate videos, but like compiled together, of like paparazzi videos of them at the airport, and just seeing their individual reactions. Even like the nicest reactions were like, God,
He's like, I said,
fuck
get
you,
out of the
Tony.
fucking way.
That was
Toby
Toby.
McGuire.
that
Yeah.
was Toby.
I
but
love it. I love it. That's
but
one of
like
my.
Tom Holland was like, Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield both were like, they saw it and they were just like, you could tell they were annoyed by it, but they were like being nice about it. And I'm like, I just don't know. Like, I already don't like shit like that. I'm not on social media. I'm not like that with my life. Like, I'm very open with my life. I'll tell anybody whatever the fuck, but like we were talking today, it's like, oh, you don't get on the social media and tell your friends you got something going on. It's like, I just call my friends. I just tell. Usually, if there's people in my life I want to know things that are going on in my life, they usually know about it.
I
So,
mean, I don't hate. I see it. I'm on Facebook and stuff. I see it. I don't hate on
well,
people,
I
but
get.
like,
I mean, it is
there's
what it is.
plenty. There's
People can
plenty. I
do
don't. I mean, there's plenty
whatever.
I don't get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, just the randomness.
just
You know what I'm
do my
saying?
thing.
Like, but at the same time, I don't know, man. Like,
I'll tell you how it paid off last night, though, is when the only social media you have is YouTube. That's all they're going to subscribe to. That's what I found out last night when they're like, "Oh, I'll add you on social." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't do any of that." And they're like, "This, nope. This, nope." Uh, I'm like, "I got a YouTube." They're like, "All right, bet I'll subscribe." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like, that's the new game plan. Don't tell them about anything else. No Facebook, no chaseshep.com. Just be like, "Oh, we just got the YouTube." We'll get those subscribers yet.
and we're gonna campaign for him.
We are. The Chase Shep are hitting the campaign trail this year,
I gotta get.
2022.
I gotta get dressed up nice. It's gotta happen. And we will. It'll be nice, man. It'll be nice and it'll be fun, and we'll be moving on as far as everything else goes in the month. Okay, we know February technically will still be going on next
Right.
Monday,
We have
but
next
we're
Monday,
moving.
but
We're
we're
moving on.
we're moving on because we're over it. We're over the month of love, and so we're moving on
Mm-hmm.
in the spirit of
Moving on.
moving on.
We decided to formally announce it right now. Um, Mental Health Monday Relationship Edition. I don't think it's working out. I don't.
Splitsville.
There is some of it. Some of it is on me, guys, but a lot of it is on
Some of it's
the
on you
relationship
guys.
edition as well.
Yeah.
Nah, it's fun. I don't know. Like, I don't know. We got a couple minutes to kill, so the last funny thing I'll say about breakups and stuff. One of my all-time favorites. I don't know if Pudgy's still watching, but if he is, I know that he personally loves this one
I'm
too.
gonna have to rack my brain and see if I got a good one.
Was my son was living
They're
in
all just sad.
my son was living in Florida at the time, and I was dating a girl. We were in a relationship for a few years, and it was one of those, like you were saying, break up, break up, break up, break up, break up, break up.
Mhm.
And I saw the pattern. I want to get out of it personally. So I was like, you know what? The next time we have, she breaks up with me for something, I'm just gonna be like, nah. Like when she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be like, you broke up with me.
Mhm.
Like we're gonna stick to that. And it was so it was like, okay, so she was always trying to get like people over, something going on and stuff like that. And she was always telling me she wanted, like, oh, we'll invite your friends. she's always throwing around this idea like we should invite your friends over and we'll buy one of the wrestling pay-per-views. This is when wrestling was still on pay-per-views
Mhm,
and you can
mhm,
all watch it and shit. So they were doing their network thing, and doing their network thing. It was like if you sign up, you get this pay-per-view for free, and then
mhm,
next month you'll have to pay. So I talked to Pudgy and the boys and was like, Survivor Series is this weekend, and I got a very rare Sunday off. You guys should come up and we should watch this. And everybody was like, hell yeah, let's do that.
mhm.
I just assumed she'd be down.
Right. So it happens when you assume things.
Wrong. So like throughout the week, then she starts like, oh, you're off on Sunday. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And I was like, well, as long as the and the big thing was The Walking Dead
Mm,
was the big thing.
yeah.
She's like, we can watch The Walking Dead together when it drops. And I was like, well, the boys, I told the boys they can come over watch some wrestling. So that'll kind of be going on when The Walking Dead is on. So I was like, we can watch it later when it's done, like we'll like record it. She wasn't having it. She's like, you got the one day off and you have your friends come up. We broke up. Long story short, we broke up. The next day she tried to apologize and be like, no, I'm sorry, I overreacted and blah. And I was like, yeah, you broke up with me, we're sticking to it. That was dumb
Mhm.
as fuck. It's Survivor Series, dude. I watched Survivor Series, I believe, that year. Anyway, Sarah, you didn't stop it. But and I'll only say her name because it's funny. First name, but we're not outing people here. But
Right, right, right.
because so this was like November, middle of November. Her birthday, I believe, was like at the end of December, somewhere in December, right? So we break up. Uh, it, we've been broke up. I wasn't a mean or nothing. We lived together, and she was like, "I'll move out and stuff," and I'm like, "You can stay here as long as you need to. I can stay in the other room." Nothing like that.
Mhm.
But so props to my son's mom. She was trying to be cool. When it was that girl's birthday, my son posted a video on her Facebook being like, I love you, I miss you, Sarah, happy birthday, and all this stuff. And Pudgy seen it and he just, oh man, he loved it because he's like, you two are broke up. They don't know that you guys are broke up, obviously. My son is like fucking 4.
Mhm.
And it's just one of those things that's
That's
like,
funny.
like
Damn.
it was only awkward for I think me in the situation, but like yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one that she gets brought up a lot because Pudgy will just randomly just be like, "Love you, miss you, Sarah," and
Yes.
and it's just like we just both like laugh about the situation. That was like 2014.
The only one I can think of that's a funnier breakup. I hope Phil can hear this in the other room because he played a big part in this one. Again, it was a girl that in high school. It was all the good ones are in high school. All the sad ones were after the fact. But we'd already broken up like before or whatever, and I think we had gotten back together, this girl and I, and she was over, and I was planning on breaking up with her again. Or maybe we had already been broken up. I don't remember. Like we might have already been broken up, and she was already. So the breakup may have already happened in this breakup story. All I remember is that she was over at my place hanging out, and I was on Facebook. I had my laptop open, and I was on Facebook or whatever. And fucking at that exact moment, Phil decides to send me a message asking me, "Hey man, did you do it yet? Or did you talk to her about it yet?" Or whatever the fuck, whatever the rendition of what he said was. And she's sitting right there. And she looks at it and she goes, "About what?" And I was just like, shit. Like one of those things. Dude, she took the fuck off. She got in her car and peeled out in the fucking cul-de-sac and took off. And I was like, I called Phil immediately. The
that
first thing
re-
I did was call Phil. I was like,
that
yo,
reminds me of a very good breakup. See, this goes back to what you were saying earlier. and that's how it happens. Ha, uh, 19, man. I was dating. It was right after I broke up with the girl. She's going to college. I dated this other girl, and we were cool for a while. Like, we vibed. I don't really ever remember any sort of um like bad shit in our relationship, but all he remembers is one night. So my friend at the time, Bob Reynolds, started dating her sister, and we all joked with him because it was like this one this one night that we were all fucked up, and we were going on the service road, and this girl, I guess we thought she thought it was a double lane road. It was not, and she ran into the side of Bob's truck. uh and then they started dating, so we all laughed and was like, Bob, she just doesn't want you to claim that insurance. She's just trying to date you to make you, no, don't report that, but whatever. So Bob and her start dating. So Bob's hanging out and with the girl I'm dating sister, so they're all hanging out a lot and stuff too. So this one night I'm at work, right, and the girl I was dating, she texts me and she's like, hey, we should go hang out with Bob and my sister. They're all the way out at Bob's house, sitting at this one house way out. And I was like, dude, like, that's like 45-minute drive. I'm like, you're like a 30-minute drive from where I was like, that's like an hour and 15 minutes of me drive and just get off work. And it's like fucking midnight and she's like, come on, I want to see you and all this shit. And I was like, whatever, dude, whatever. So I went and I picked her up from this party, and they're all like, oh, because they all thought I was cool. All her friends, like, I don't want to be here, man. Come on, I just want to go smoke. So we drive all the way out, Bob and her sister. So, and this actually is a quite a funny story. So we get all the way out there, normal, me and her go out there. We're listening to music, talking, bullshitting, doing our normal shit. We get out there, we're all smoking, and about, I think, the third time in rotation, Bob hits it, and instead of passing the pipe to his girlfriend, he like goes out of his way to make a point to like pass around her, like, and like I was like, that's weird, whatever. So we go do that, and then the girls are like, all right, like, we gotta go home, and I'm like, oh, so now I gotta drive an hour to take you guys home. So whatever. So Bob's like, I'm coming too. So we all hop in the car and we all take the drive. We drop our girls off. We kiss them goodnight and say, we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow or whatever. We're pulling away, and Bob's like, he's got this big ass smile on his face, and I'm like, Bobby, what's up, man? And he's like, did she do it? And I'm like, do what? And he's like, did she break up with you? And I'm like, what the fuck you talking about? She break up with me? And he goes, yeah, like last night when I was hanging out with her sister, she's like, man, fuck Aaron, he's a piece of shit. I don't want to be with him. I'm gonna break up with him, and I could do better than him and all this and that. And I'm like, for real? And he's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I guess they thought I wouldn't fucking tell you. And he's like, and then I was like, yeah, and he's like, did so then he's like, did you see her sister? She wasn't inhaling. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, I think she's just trying to be cool. He's like, you gonna smoke my weed and not inhale? Just say you don't want to smoke weed. Don't pretend and waste a hit.
I've
Keep it in your mouth and blowing it out like that.
I've heard
And,
this story before. I've caught up and
and he's like, so he passed her out. And I'm like, for real? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, fuck them. And he's like, yeah, fuck them. And I'm like, we should never talk to them again. And he's like, yeah. And we did, dead ass. Never talk to them again. I am friends with both of them on Facebook. So girls, if you're watching this, no hate, obviously, about, 19 years later. I don't hold on to that one, but like, we definitely,
yeah.
it's funny. It's funny looking back in hindsight now on those sorts of situations in life. Because it wasn't like, I don't really, I never felt bad about this, because literally the girl I was dating hit me up once the next day to be like, hey, what are you up to? I didn't respond. She never hit me up again. I'm pretty sure she was like, oh, obviously Bob told him I was gonna break up with him, and he's like, fuck her.
That's funny.
Yeah, life.
That's funny. Well,
Yeah.
there you have it, everybody. A month of love, a month of mental health, relationships,
Breakups,
yes.
moving ons.
We'll see what the future holds.
I don't know what we're gonna go. The March theme's gonna be, but we'll figure it out. That's a good one. March Madness.
We'll see. We'll see.
There's times I've lost my motherfucking mind in life.
We'll
So
run it up the flagpole, see what the execs say, our producers, and
yeah, we gotta run it by the big wigs and get their
Shays and
approval.
Shep.
So if they sign off on it, I know it's Chase and Shep's show, but these guys Shep and Chase, they're kind of assholes sometimes. So
They really can be.
we'll see.
But
We'll see
both
what
high
we can.
Shep.
We'll see what we can push by them.
All right.
It's a great
Peace.
one, man. We stayed a little extra since we were a little extra late. So smooches and deuces. Enjoy the week. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, March 27th. The campaign begins.
NOLA's, be there. It's everywhere. Dope artists.
NOLA's this time.
NOLA's.
I didn't realize that. Even more exciting.
6 dope artists, I believe.
In Urbana, Illinois, so that we can be clear this time, because we forget that YouTube is a global platform.
It is a global platform, yes.
Yes.
NOLA's Rock Bar in Urbana, Illinois. The event,
March 27th.
March 27th. Go find Johnny Cashed on Facebook, aka Jimmy Puffett. Go find Chase and Shep. Well, you already know. Obviously, if you're fucking watching,
already
this.
know what it is. ChaseandShep.com.
We'll be sharing it everywhere. Yes, I will replace the banner from last night's show, because obviously, if you click on it to buy tickets, you can't. With the next show. And we will be promoting. It'll be all over our shit, so there's no way you won't know about this show.
That's right. That's right. Peace, everybody.